Yo, what's good? It's your boy Vegaman, and welcome to the Vegaman Show. And tonight's stream, we're going to dive into the history of the Israel and Palestine histories. So, with that being said, let's go on with the show. I ain't even sure if my mic is working right. So what's good, y'all? Welcome to the stream. Welcome. So we're gonna dive in a little bit deep into the history. Let me see if is my music working or what the hell is going on with this thing. Okay, never mind. There we go. Am I hearing an echo here? Hold on a second. Do I sound alright? Let me know. I don't even know if I'm sounding okay, because for some reason it's sounding really weird. Hello? Am I coming out clear? Yo, that's weird. I guess if you press the button in the back of the mic, it acts weird. Alright, so on today's stream, we're going to be talking about... I sound fine? Alright, cool. So on tonight's stream, we're going to be talking about the history of... because I think it's really important to talk about the history of both nations to kind of understand... all the bad blood and animosity that's coming, with Israel and Palestine. But before we do that, I wanted to show you guys something, you know what I'm saying? And this is kind of like disturbing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dumb down the music. Yo, that's loud. So I'll put the music like very low in the background. Y'all can hear me more. You can, okay, I think you can still hear the music in the background. So it's going to be very, very low. But there is some things that I've been seeing on Twitter that blew my mind about this whole thing. And it's kind of like crazy. Like the craziness that's happening, you know what I'm saying? Like, check this out. So I've been keeping an eye about all the things, and I happened to run into this one video. So we're going to. I'm not gonna put it in full screen. That's kind of. But let me actually. I really don't know what's going on with this. The music, but. If you haven't followed me on Twitter, definitely follow me on Twitter, because I be posting videos and stuff like that on Twitter, and it's very educational. So that people don't blindly hold on a second. Let me kill the music. All right, so people don't blindly follow or take sides. So I came across this video somebody posted on Twitter where what children are taught in Palestine. You should watch this. It is crazy what they're teaching the kids over there. Check this out. Let me actually see if I can. Hold on, let me pull it out. So maybe I'll do that. I'll pull it out and I'll put it on the screen so y'all can see it. Like, these are what these, this is the reason why people don't understand. Like, it's like, oh, why are they killing each other and this and that, whatever. It's because they're being taught this stuff. That's the thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're being taught these things. So here's a video. Here's some proof for you guys to see what they're being taught there in Palestine about their neighbors, Israel. This is the reason why, like, there's conflict there. It's crazy. Like, check this out. So I'm going to put it all the way in the very beginning so you guys can see it for yourselves. Now, these are children in Palestine. They teach us that, and all the Palestine is ours. Jews lie and they say that their temple. These are kids. Now this is the future, guys. These are future kids or future terrorists.
يعني انهم بيعلمونا بالمدرسه انهم ارهابيين
بيحكوا عن اليهود انهم هدول مش منيح وهدول بيقتلوا قاعدين بشبابنا بيحكوا لنا هدول غدارين وبيحكوا لنا انه هدول بغدرونا هدول مش منيح اذا بطعن بدعس عليهم عمل عمليات كيف يعني عمليات الدعس عمليات الطعن والاشتباك المصلح في المخيمات.
ايش اكيد هدول العمليات بترفع الراس لفلسطين. العمليات هاي تاعت الدعس والسكاكين هاي اشي بيرفع الراس لفلسطين.
اذا بدك بطلع بستشهد عادي. ان شاء الله اساعد الشباب وان شاء الله اصير مقاوم بالمستقبل مع الدولة الإسلامية.
Now that should tell you a lot. Right? Let me know what you guys think on the comments. Like, I want y'all to kind of like see what I'm seeing. So that is crazy. So you have the schools over there in Palestine teaching kids to kill the Jews, to stab them, to murder them, to run them over with vehicles. Some of these kids want to be suicide bombers. They're ready to kill themselves over their beliefs. You know what I'm saying? So that's just one video that I posted, because I posted a couple videos here. And it's kind of like, it tells you a lot about what really is going on with this whole thing, you know, and a lot of people don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, you got Black Lives Matter trying to stand for Palestine, and then they're not even really knowing the history of Israel and Palestine. It is a very long history between the nations. They've been at war for, I would like to say, at least 4,000 years. So there's like at least 4,000 years of history between these two nations. Now, if you look at the timeline, because this is where I'm at right here, I'm trying to figure out how to zoom in. But if you go into the history of Israel, now I'm not saying that Israel does not have its own dark history, because they do. They are not. This was probably kind of the reason why Israel is hated, and a lot of it has to do with some of the atrocities that some of the tribes of Jacob committed. So if you look at the timeline here, and it's saying this is like biblical times. This is before the Common Era. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they're the patriarchs of the Jewish people, bearers of the belief in one God. Settle in the land of Israel. Famine forces Israelites to migrate to Egypt. That's not true. See, what happened is, in the story of Jacob, when you listen to the like when you read the scriptures and you read the story of Jacob went through a lot of hardship because of his sons caused a lot of mischief, and they did a lot of atrocities. You know what I'm saying? That forced Israel to always constantly be wandering around until they found a land that they were, given to. God gave them the promised land. Obviously, everybody knows the story of Moses. Moses, they wandered in the wilderness for 40 years before they settled into the promised land. But the thing is, the crazy things about this was there's a particular story of Jacob, and this is like when Jacob was first anointed as when God gave him the name of Israel. Jacob had 12 sons. His 12 sons, and I believe it was like before his wife Rebecca died. She had a son. She had Joseph, and then she was going to give birth to Benjamin, but she died while she was giving birth to Benjamin. And so before that happened, though, they settled down into this particular part of the land in the Middle East. They settled down in this land, and there was a kingdom called Shechem. And Shechem invited invited Jacob and some of his sons and even his daughter, because Jacob did have daughters, to go to a feast. So they went to the feast and everything else like that. The prince of Shechem fell in love with one of Jacob's daughters, and everybody was getting drunk, whatever, and he ended up violating her, forcing himself upon her, right? So in the eyes of the Israelites at that time, when they doing something like that, whatever, it's considered an act of war. You know what I'm saying? So her brothers, they took this personal. So the king of Shechem, which he was wise, came to Jacob, and he asked him. He's like, I want you to give your daughter to me, so that she can marry my son, because my son fell in love with her and everything else like that. So they made a pact where the Shechem people were to do all the traditions of Jacob, and that way they can unite as a family and be one people. So the king was willing to follow all the traditions of Israel, and they all got circumcised. All the men got circumcised, but the brothers, they took this opportunity to slaughter. They slaughtered the whole kingdom of Shechem. You know what I'm saying? Because of that, all because they felt that they felt like the kingdom of Shechem was treating their sister as a whore. So it's crazy. Like, Israel is not. Israel is not, they're not perfect. You know what I'm saying? They have a lot of atrocities that they have committed themselves. So their reputation around them that surrounded Israel at that time is they are a nation not to be trusted. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of that reputation came down because of the sons of Jacob. Jacob's sons put that reputation out. You know what I'm saying? So they had a lot of problems. And that time there was so many problems. That's why when you look at the history, they'd say this part right here, but there's so much blank. You see how it's blank, and then it goes right straight to where Moses' story, right? But here's the thing: there's so many the history of Israel. It's further. There's a lot of things that happened between the time of Jacob, when he was when he first founded Israel, until Moses' time. Within that whole frame, there was so much that happened, right? So not only that Jacob lost his wife Rebecca. So Rebecca died because he had to flee. So he had to take his family and everything because his sons destroyed the kingdom of Shechem. So they had to flee, and because he had to flee, the track that they had to flee far away, so people don't know that it was them that did that. And because of that, his wife Rebecca died from childbirth after she gave birth to Benjamin. So when she gave birth to Benjamin, she ended up succumbing to the strain of it, and she died. So then you continue the story of Joseph. And Joseph, his brothers, his brothers sold Joseph as a slave to Egypt, only because Jacob favored Joseph more than the other brothers, and the other brothers were jealous of Joseph because Joseph was always very he loved his father very much, and he was a humble, honest person, and the brothers were always like very mischief. Like they did a lot of things behind their father's back. They were doing deals behind their father's back and stuff like that. And Joseph will tell their father about what they've been up to and whatever. He's always honest to his dad, and obviously Jacob punished his sons because of it. So I believe 2 of the brothers wanted to kill Joseph, but the third oldest brother, instead of killing him because he didn't want the blood of his brother in his hands, he came up with an idea to sell Joseph to the Egyptians. So Joseph got sold to the Egyptians. He became a slave, but then he ended up working up the ladder. He became the second most powerful person in Egypt. He became governor of Egypt, and he was able to save his father and his brothers because there was a humongous famine that hit the land, and I believe Jacob and his family were running out of food and they were dying. I believe some of the people were dying and stuff like that. And since Joseph was in Egypt, he had abundance of food because he helped the Pharaoh collect a lot of food when that famine came. So when that famine came, Joseph had all the food. He brought his father and his brothers and his family to Egypt. And then that story continues all the way until the Egypt part with Moses. So Israel at first they were like neighbors with Egypt. You know what I'm saying? And then for when Joseph died, like the descendants of the Egyptians and then the descendants of the Israelites, instead they enslaved Israel. So this is the first time, I believe this is the first time Israel was enslaved. So when before Moses was born and everything else like that, Israel was enslaved. So Israel were the slaves that created all the pyramids, all the cities that were created in Egypt at that time, ancient Egypt. They were on the backs of Israelites. You know what I'm saying? The Israelites were slaves. And they were praying to God for a deliverer. So God sent them Moses. Moses wasn't really at first he was not raised in the traditions of Israel. He was raised in the palace of Egypt because, like I said on my video yesterday, Moses, his mother put him in the Nile, and then the princesses of Egypt saved Moses and raised him as her own son, and he became a powerful prince of Egypt. And then until he found out about his true heritage and the fact that he's Hebrew, and he ended up he didn't rise up against the Pharaoh, but he believed that the Israelites should be set free and stuff like that. So the Pharaoh punished him, sent him to jail, and then instead of killing him, he casted him out into the desert. So then when Moses came back, then he came back as a prophet. He didn't come back as a general or a / prince of Egypt. He came back as a prophet of God. God told him his purpose, his true purpose of why he was, put out there. So already Moses is already educated with the education of how to lead men. So that's the whole reason why he was kind of raised in the palace. It's kind of like God's way of kind of preparing him to be a general, of the Israelites, because Israel didn't have a leader. And I can talk about this about days because, like I said, I've been studying these stories since I was 7. So there's a lot of history with that. So on side of that, if you look at the history of Palestine, so the history of Palestine, if you go back in time and see how far they are, they go all the way back to hold on a second here. They go back all the way back into the same timeline as Israel, because like I said, Palestine they are the descendants of Ishmael. Okay, so in order for Palestine to exist, no, in order for Israel to exist, Palestine has to exist, because like I said, Abraham had two sons. He had Isaac and Ishmael, and Ishmael was half Egyptian. So Ishmael, he's half Hebrew and half Egyptian. If you look at the bloodline of the Palestinians, and then you look at the geographical map of where they're from, they come from the bloodline of Abraham. So, you know, they eventually they became as Canaanites, I believe. And I also believe that when Esau, which I think was Jacob's twin brother, Esau aligned himself with the Canaanites, and obviously the blood of the Hebrews became more into it. And it's like, if you really look at the history and you study the scriptures, and you don't have to study just the Bible, but look at it too. Look at the the documents of the Torah, or even in the Quran. They talk about the history of Israel, just like Israel talks about the history about Palestine and all these other countries that they were enemies with. It's all like in the history books. So one hand reveals the other, and then the other hand reveals the other. So it's just like it comes hand to hand. That's the thing that people don't get about how deep this is. This is a very deep history. And so I do believe, this is just my opinion though, but when Esau when he aligned himself with the Canaanites, he aligned himself to protect Jacob. And this is before Israel became what Israel is today. So Esau said that instead of killing, if you read in the scriptures, instead of killing his brother, he said he will defend his brother and his borders so that he can thrive and grow. So he became more of a guardian than someone that he wanted to kill. Instead of that, he realized that his brother was humble, and he had a humongous family and stuff like that. So he wanted to protect his brother. And so the Canaanites at first were protectors of Israel. And then when they went into the Iron Age, this is when the Babylonians came in. And it's like I told you yesterday, guys, the statue that the king of Babylon had, it falls into the story of the history of Palestine. So like, if you really look at it, it says here that the Syrians conquered the region in the 8th century, and this is BC. This is before Christ was even born. The Babylonians held power as 601 BC, and then once they were conquered by the Persians, and the statue, like I said, if you look at the statue here, let me put something out here. See, Babylon. Hold on, let me. Babylon. I believe it was the dream statue. It has to be the dream statue. Okay, here we go. So if you really look at it, Nebuchadnezzar, he had a dream, and this is what the crap. What the hell did I just do there? Oops. No. Okay, so I'm trying to pull up the statue here. Okay, yeah, so this right here, okay, this is the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had, right? And he asks all the people, like all his like wise people and all that stuff, right? He asked them, he'd be like, can anybody interpret my dream? What does it mean? You know, what is all this dream or whatever? And out of all the wise people, like all the people that have knowledge, like his council, they couldn't come up with the dream. But one prophet that came from Israel, the prophet Daniel, he interpreted the dream of what it meant. So when you click it, when you see it, he said that Babylon represented the head of gold. So that is the first kingdom that was the major superpower in the world at that time. So Babylon was the head, right? After Babylon comes a second kingdom called the breastplate, which is the silver. It's his, like I said, the upper body is silver, and that's Persia. So then after Persia comes the Bronze Age, and that's Greece. Greece is known, if you really look at the history of Greece, their weapons, their the type of armor they used, everything was made out of bronze. Everything that was made out of, in Persia, everything was made out of silver, and Babylon, everything was made out of gold. So, and when you go down to the legs, Rome was known for iron. So everything that's Roman at that time was, it was constructed by iron. And then you go to the bottom of the feet, right there, and it says feet of iron and clay, divided nations of Western Europe. So that's, the feet represents this time, the timeline that we are right now. That is what the feet represent. It is there are kingdoms that they have iron and clay. Clay mean, obviously, you know what clay is, like cement. So that's what it is right now. So we are in the last part of history. I do believe that you have 5 kingdoms, but the 5th kingdom, which is the feet, is a divided nation. It's really not a nation. It's just multiple nations. You know what I'm saying? That's why we have like the United Nations. We have the G Summit, all that stuff. That's what it is right now. That's how the world is structured right now. And that, in the very beginning, though, of ancient time, Babylon was the great superpower. Like they were the great kingdom at that time. So back in those days, it used to be kingdoms. Now we have nations. You get what I'm saying? So I hope now nobody's getting lost by that. But so yeah. So let's go back to okay, so let's go back to the history here. So when the Persians, I truly believe that when the Babylonians, they conquered the land. So the land right here, this vast land here, they had different kingdoms. Okay, and I believe that at one point and one time, the kingdom of Shechem was right here. And this is before Israel was even Israel. I do believe there was a kingdom of Shechem, but they got destroyed because, like I said, Israel wiped them out. The sons of Jacob wiped them all out. So like there were so many atrocities that Israel caused, and they were hated because of it. You know what I'm saying? Like they became hated, and Babylon was conquered. Babylon conquered Israel. Then after the Babylonians was Persia. Then after the Persians was Greece. And then after Greece was the Romans. Now in this time, we have many nations that hate Israel. That's why the feet is mixed with clay, because there's so many nations now that hate Israel. And Israel's right there. It's a small country, but it's surrounded by so many enemies. You know what I'm saying? And Palestine, like I said, the remnants of Palestine, I don't know if they're like the true descendants of the actual original Palestine, because if you really study your history, back in the day, Palestine used to be a superpower. They used to be a big kingdom at that time. And this is before, I believe this is before Moses' time. This is way before all that. So when Palestine used to be in power, No, actually, no. This is after Moses' time. When when Israel and Palestine first had conflicts, it was during the time of King Saul. So, like, if you look at it in the timeline of Israel, right here, it says here, the Jewish monarchy established by King Saul, which he was the first king of Israel, right? And then Jerusalem made capital when David became king. So at this time right here, in this little timeline right there, Israel and Palestine used to go to war with each other a lot. Okay? Now, God commanded Saul to eliminate Palestine, but Saul didn't really want to do that. So God took away he decided to take away the kingdom away from Saul. So he allowed Palestine to rise up against the kingdom of Israel. And they were going at war. And I believe King Saul and his son died in that war. And then David was crowned the new king of Israel. And then David destroyed the Palestinians at that time. So there's just so much history. And I love history. You know, I'm like I said, I'm a history nerd. So you got to really dive into the things of why there is so much animosity. And I don't even know if the schools even teach this about other nations. You know what I'm saying? We should know about other nations. There's a reason why there's a reason why Jesus says, love thy neighbor. I do believe the reason why Israel is hated is because they're arrogant. They're very arrogant. And I'm not saying that all Israelites are arrogant, but there are some, they at that time when Jesus was and these are my opinions, you can crucify me if you want, but I do believe that it's true. God's own people killed him. So the Israelites did kill Jesus. It's true because it's history. It's even in the histories of the Romans. But the only reason why they did that is because they're arrogant. And in that time, I don't know if they are now, but in that time, Israel was known for being arrogant, and they were superior. They acted like they were better than you. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of Jesus' teachings was things that was contradictory to what they were teaching. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the thing, and they couldn't have that because Jesus was pretty much giving back power back to the people, and they liked everything controlled. They controlled everything. So all the information, all the traditions, the elders of the time, they controlled all that. So they became very arrogant. And then if you have somebody that's teaching love, forgiveness, acceptance, it goes against everything that they taught. So that's kind of the reason why they had to eliminate Jesus. So they eliminated him. But see, here's the thing, and that's the one thing that I truly think that's why they're not liked, is because they think they know more than you. You know what I'm saying? We're not good enough to comprehend what is being written or is being taught. We're not allowed to question. You know what I'm saying? And that's the hypocrisy that Jesus was trying to say. They became hoarders of the gospel. They wouldn't share at that time. They would not share the gospel with the world. You know what I'm saying? God had to kind of come up with a plan to put out salvation out there for the whole world. You know what I'm saying? Because Israel was not the only people that God wanted to save. He wanted to save all his children. And that's the thing that people don't get about, Christianity. For me, in my eyes, the definition of Christianity is not a religion. It's not. Christianity is not meant to be a religion. Christianity is a way of life. That's how Jesus designed that. It is a way of life. It's how you should conduct yourself. It's how you should be with people. You get what I'm saying? So like, it's not a religion. And that's kind of the reason why a lot of people are turned off by Christianity, because they think Christianity is constrictive. Oh, there's so many rules and this and that. No, it's not supposed to be that. It's supposed to be a way of life. It's how you should conduct yourself. How you should be treated, how you should treat others, how you should forgive, how you should love. That's how it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be what we see today. A lot of people are taking Christianity and they are creating their own agendas. That's kind of the reason why Judas killed himself. Okay, so Jesus, he got 12 apostles, right? And he used these 12 apostles, which each of them were sinners, by the way. They were all sinners, okay? But he forgave them all, and he taught them, and then he pushed them out to the world. It wasn't just to Israel. He wasn't telling them to preach and teach in Israel. He wanted them to go out into other countries and teach the gospel. So that's why you see a lot of his apostles, they would go to different locations around that area in the Middle East and prophesize. That's why you have like if you read the scriptures, you have like disciples from Ethiopia. You have disciples from Rome. Like it was a way of life. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of the reason why you had a lot of genocide happen at that time. The Romans, they took that as a threat and they started doing genocide against Christians. They started killing them. They were doing a lot of genocide, and not just with the Romans, but the Israelis too were killing Christians. You know what I'm saying? Some of their own palace guards, like if you read the story about the Apostle Paul, before Paul became the apostle, he was considered Saul of Tarsus, and he was slaughtering Christians until God intervened and blinded him, and then told him that the people that you're killing, the people that you're persecuting, they're my people. And then Saul became Paul. And then he became the Apostle Paul that God used to teach the Romans about God, about Jesus. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's an interesting thing how I see these things happening in current events. That just tells me right now, all these things that I see, like the lack of love, the scriptures talks about that. If you read in I think I would like to say it was the book of Revelations, but don't hold me to it. But in one of the passages in the scriptures, it says that love will leave love will leave the world, and it will be left like cold wax. Like the love, it's like gone. You don't feel it in the world. I sense that right now. So I don't know if anybody senses that, but there's no love. All you feel is hatred, darkness, just not common sense, not rational thinking. Like that's what I'm seeing right now. It's crazy. I mean, do I sound crazy? Maybe, but that's what I sense. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, don't take my word for it. Definitely study for yourself. If you really are interested in learning about the true history of Israel and the true history of Palestine or even the Middle East, do your own research, man. Don't go by what people tell you, because again, people lie. I do believe, okay, so there are people that tell me, how do you believe the Bible because the Bible's being rewritten? True. You're right. But how do we know that the Quran was not rewritten and made the people that believe in the Quran become extremists? You know what I'm saying? Like, there are people in power that control those things, and they can rewrite it for whatever agenda. So like the Quran maybe at one point was a righteous book, but how do we know that the Quran now is a righteous book? Just like how you can say about the Bible. That's my saying. That's what I have to say about that. You know what I'm saying? And like for me, I don't go by like I read the scriptures and then I dive into history and try to come up with my own conclusions about everything. So that's how you're supposed to do it. Shouldn't just believe things blindly. You should always question. That's kind of the reason why Jesus, he loves that. He loves the fact that people have questions. You know what I'm saying? Like why is this happening, and why does this have to be this way? And God, explains it in a way that it's so. He explains it in a way that you can understand by using metaphors. You know what I'm saying? Makes you think. You are supposed to think. You're supposed to question everything. You know what I'm saying? How are you going to grow as a human being if you don't question what you see, what you hear? You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to question it. And then apply what's good, apply to yourself. What's bad, remove it from yourself. It's that simple, y'all. How did I do there? Was that good enough for you, Barry? Does that help? Like, I hope it helps people. So yeah. So let me end this stream at this time with this logic, cause like I swear, man, we are in the end days. We are in the end days, y'all. You know what I'm saying? This is the reason why God says, look up because your redemption is near. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do believe right now, all this crazy stuff, I do believe something bad's going to happen. I hope not. You know what I'm saying? I've been seeing videos where they're threatening to commit terrorist attacks tomorrow. I don't know if you guys heard that, but let me put it up here so you guys can see for yourselves. You have these leaders in Palestine. Look at this. This happened right now in New York, where you have extremists committing crazy acts in New York. This is New York, guys. And they're doing donuts in the middle of the highway. Like, something crazy is going to happen, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at this right here. This is a protest in Paris. Then you have a crazy person here. This is right here. This happened right here in I think it was a university. You know, and then like, I'm telling you, something bad is they're trying to start stuff. There's so many things right now being posted. You definitely gotta keep your eyes, protect your family. If you guys have, guns and you have food, make sure you do that, because they're trying to do something to divide. Look at this. This is crazy. It's craziness that I'm seeing. There is so many things that they look. This is what they're doing to Israelis over there. It's crazy, man. Like, I've seen so many crazy posts. It's insane. It's insanity. Like, the world, it's going insane. This guy right here, he wants, like, everybody, all the Muslims that are around the world to do a terrorist, to become terrorists tomorrow and blow up cities and stuff like that in the name of whatever God they worship. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know for a fact that all Muslims believe that. There are really good Muslims, but then these are the extremists that are being taught to not only value themselves as a human being, but take other human beings' lives that are innocent. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't support that. I'm sorry, y'all. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I'm gonna leave it there, guys. All I gotta say is pray for yourselves, pray for families, pray for the nations. You know what I'm saying? Let God take care of this stuff, man, because this is insanity, like really crazy insanity that's happening right now. I felt that I had to come out and talk about it because not many people really understand these things, you know what I'm saying? And when you have no love in the world, and when you have the fire of God, you know what I'm saying? Like, people are not afraid of God anymore. People think that they can do whatever they want, say whatever they want, commit acts as they want, and there's no consequence. You are wrong, my friend, because there is consequences for your actions. It may not be right now, but it will happen when God comes. You will pay for that price, I guarantee you. So with that being said, make sure y'all follow me on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, The Vegaman Show. Follow me on Twitter too, The Vegaman Show. I also have I believe I also have a Rumble account as well, The Vegaman Show. So I'm definitely going to put all the links there on the description box. Make sure you guys follow if you guys want to support the channel. There's the merch store, you know what I'm saying? There's ways that you guys can help me elevate this channel and put out this message out there for people to know, you know what I'm saying? Before you guys, you know what I'm saying, come into judgment, know your history first, and then make a conclusion. But, you know, in my humble opinion, I wouldn't pick sides. I would definitely, you know, just pray for those people. You know what I'm saying? The best that we can do as human beings is pray for those people. You know what I'm saying? Not get involved in conflict, but pray for them. You know what I'm saying? That's what God will want us to do. So make sure you guys do that. You know what I'm saying? And with that being said, this is it. Thanks, Barry, for coming in, being my moderator. Thanks for the other two people that came in and, you know, rock with me. So with that being said, again, share, like, and subscribe, guys. We're going that 5K subscription level, and we're going to just keep pushing. All right? As always, I'm Vegaman. I'm out. Love y'all. Peace.